Forte Catholic Radio. This is your host, Taylor Schroll. It is a beautiful day. A little bit of drizzle here in College Station, Texas. Welcome into Forte Catholic, where we are all about making Catholicism fun again. You know, one thing that makes this show more fun than most is the specialness. I believe that is a word. At the beginning of the last 3 weeks of shows have begun with a special word. The specialness of our producer, Sam. Producer Sam is in the house today, and I am very excited. We actually have a couple of news stories about her. So, Producer Sam, how are you doing on this beautiful, fine, dandy day?
Pretty good, because it's raining again, and I really like when it rains, and it's like stormy and gray. I like that.
As Eli Young once said, when it rains, I don't mind being lonely. I cry right along with the skies.
That's sad.
That is very sad. It's weird today. I've said it before on the radio. So we, in this studio that we have at St. Mary's Student Center at Texas A&M, we have this very large window, and we can see everything except nothing because there's a large tree blocking most of the window. But I can definitely see that the sun is out, but there is water on the window. It rained the entire way over here. There was crazy traffic because people don't know how to drive in the rain, apparently. And school is back in, Producer Sam, which
yes.
I forgot about, and I needed to be reminded to never go outside between the times of 4 and 6 p.m. because, oh my goodness, work is out, school is out.
That didn't get me as much as the bike riders got me. They were annoying.
I hit 3 on the way over here.
Oh, gosh.
I'm just kidding, of course.
I did not hit them, but I did have a slight thought.
About
hitting them.
Never mind. Let's move on. For once, Producer Sam says something on the air to get herself in trouble instead of me. So last week's show got a lot of buzz on the old Twitter sphere. How's your Twitter going?
My what?
Your Twitter. Aren't you just doing great on Twitter? You got a ton of followers?
No.
That's because you don't have one.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have a Twitter.
We're going to talk a bit about last week's show and what Sam not having a Twitter has to do with it. So just a quick recap for you. Last week, we had a first in Catholic radio show history. I said that very confidently. I said there might be a chance I could be wrong, but if somebody hears this and thinks that I am wrong, you should let me know. I heard nothing of the sort. So DMX, who is as the Catholics say, secular rapper. No one else uses that word except for Catholics, so no one knows what it means except us. It's just another way for us to exclude people. Moving on. So last week we talked about DMX, and we played one of his songs on the air, and I'm pretty sure that the song by him, Lord Give Me a Sign, which, although he's a secular rapper, the song, it sounds like a Christian rapper. He's talking about the scriptures. He's talking about spiritual warfare. He's talking about praying and going to God in those tough times. We played that, and I am convinced now, as I was last week, even more so today, that is a Catholic radio show first. I want to talk today about another Catholic radio show first. Sam, you are in the studio today, along with
yes.
Our friend Adam Brill, who we're not going to let talk. And
I unmuted him.
Oh, you unmuted him? Okay, fine. Say hi, Adam.
Hi.
Adam, we do have to go to you really quickly because you did something crazy insane that I want the people to hear about. We met how long ago?
May 15th was my first day at Ablaze.
Okay, so you work for Ablaze with Sam and I, and we met May 15th, and you started listening to this crazy podcast called Forte Catholic, and you started at what episode? The most recent, or?
I started at number 1.
You started at number 1, the number 1 episode, way back in the day when I thought I knew what I was doing and I didn't, which is actually currently true as well. So you listened to that episode, and you thought, hey, let's do one more. I just want to ask the people, what episode are you on now?
Episode 99.
You're literally the episode now. You've listened all the way through 98. That would be impressive if you had caught up by today. Like, that's insane. You currently listening to the 99th podcast.
That'd be like one a day.
Yeah, which means I'm going to get one less listen this week. Thanks. what day did you catch up to like the current podcasts?
It was about the episode that Brian was on. I can't remember.
So I don't remember.
I think it was 84.
Sam's just pulling numbers out to keep the segment going. What a
It's
producer.
true.
Which is another tease for what we're going to be talking about Sam being a great producer. So here's what would happen. I would see Adam every 3 days, and he would give me a new number. He would just yell out a number. 4! I'm like, what? Why are you yelling at me? He's like, that's the episode I'm on. Okay. I was like, okay. 3 days later, 28! I'm like, what the heck? You've spent more time with me than you have with the Lord or your wife, maybe both combined.
Maybe. Don't tell her that.
So you are definitely a Forte Catholic superfan. And honestly, if we're being frank, I think everyone should be like you. I really, really do.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Okay, so we have to get to this week's first. Last week's first was playing DMX. This week's first. Another one of our friends who has been on the show, Mr. AJ Barrows, he and I were at our office about an hour ago before I headed up to the station to do the show. And he looked like he needed a hug, so I gave him a hug. And I can never truly give a genuine hug except for those moments that I know people really need them. But most of the time, I'm just messing with people. On the air, off the air, during hugs. I mean, I'm just messing with people, right? So because I know he's very ticklish, I went to poke him in the ribs. So we were hugging for about a minute. Or not a minute. We were just hugging for about a minute. I meant to say 1 second, but 1 minute was definitely funnier. I'm really funny when it happens by accident. I can't do it on purpose. So I was hugging for about a second, maybe 2, 1 or 2 minutes. And then to end the hug, I poked him in the ribs. He is so ticklish that his natural reaction was to do an uppercut. He caught me right in the jaw. Ironically enough, we're going to be talking about Sam's choice of sound effects as well here in a minute. But yeah, I currently, I think it was 1 hour ago, almost exactly, I got uppercut in the jaw, bit my lip. My lip is currently in the process of swelling, and it is completely like red and bloodied right now as we do the show. Oh, okay. So this is another Catholic radio show first. Find me another Catholic radio host or podcaster. There's more of those because anyone can get a show these days. You can just find anybody out there who has done a show within 1 hour of getting uppercut in the jaw with a busted lip. Okay. We have to talk about producer Sam now because she's annoying me. And this is a perfect segue into what happened. I asked you earlier about your Twitter because you don't have one, and because that's what we call in the biz a radio tease to get to this moment right now.
Yes.
So on Twitter, there's this thing called Catholic Twitter. Don't ask me to explain it. It's essentially this entire group of Catholic people always posting to each other and talking to each other. And I am a fringe member of it. I don't get the full benefits, but I am slowly becoming a fringe. I used to be a fringe member. Now there's a new king in town on Catholic Twitter. His name is Father Anthony Sharapa. He came on the show back in episode what, Sam?
I think it was about 82.
I don't think it was 82. I believe...
Oh, it was like 67.
I believe it was not either of those
74.
things. I believe it was episode
86.
Exactly. So,
Nailed it.
Father, you're such a good producer. This is... The setup for this is so much better than the punchline's going to be.
It's true.
So... Father Anthony Sharapa and I have become friends. We play Fortnite together. He came on the show. We talk on Twitter all the time. He's the man. And he's gotten me connected with a bunch of these other people. So I'm kind of like the jester for the new king of Catholic Twitter, right? I don't have any real standing. I'm not a knight. I'm not his queen because that would be weird. I'm just the jester. I'm the joker that just comes in, does a little entertainment show with a little bit of faith in it. And that's who I am. That's where I find myself these days. Where Sam finds herself in Catholic Twitter this weekend, although she doesn't have a Twitter account,
yes,
she was smack dab in the middle of a very large Catholic Twitter conversation. So Father Anthony decided to take all of his Twitter followers, combine them with a priest named Father Harrison Eyre, who they were like nemesis. We're going to go with nemesis.
Okay.
They decided to combine their powers with their forces combined, make a podcast to instantly become more popular than 98% of podcasts. They got more downloads in their first 3 weeks. Like within a month, maybe 6 weeks, they will have had more downloads than I have had in 2 years. So I love Father Anthony, and I also deep down want him to stop. But I'm just kidding. I'm actually a huge fan of the show, and I really like it. They're doing good stuff. Go listen to their podcast called Clerically Speaking. 2 clerics, and guess what they do for about an hour?
Speak.
You're so good, Sam. Okay, so the Clerically Speaking Twitter handle and I have been in multiple conversations back and forth, many of which they have started, all about you, Producer Sam.
Aw.
The first is that Sam, the producer at Taylor Schroll's Forte Catholic, is pretty good at sound effects, but she's got nothing on Papa Sharappa's Summa Tweetologica. Sam is very sad. I thought it was the cat again, and then it turned into a baby crying. That was really weird. So, Sam, I'm guessing with that sound effect, that's what you feel about that. You're very sad.
Well, I honestly just click a button normally. I don't read too much into it. I just press.
We have to get. That's a perfect segue into the tweet that started all this.
Okay.
Father Anthony sent me an honest and said, your producer is the perfect foil for you, and I love it. He had just finished listening to our last episode. It was 2 episodes ago, where you drove me crazy. You remember this thing where I was like, you're the 7th best producer in the land?
Yeah, that was so hurtful.
And you acted so hurt.
I remember.
So hurt, right?
Yeah.
And it just threw me off, and I couldn't do the rest of the show. I couldn't move on, and it was all because of you. And he said, essentially...
Because of you.
Sure.
I don't even need sound effects.
This is exactly what he's talking about. You throw me off course, and he says that you're the best part of the show. I sent that to you. You replied, "Aw." So then I'm playing Forte.
Well, it was longer. It was like, "Aw."
No, it was
higher.
just AWE.
But it was like higher if you think about it.
I didn't read that through text form.
Dang it.
Okay, so I was playing Fortnite with Father Anthony. And after this whole ordeal of me saying what I thought was the greatest compliment I've ever given you, that you're the 7th best producer in the entire world, even though, and you didn't like it, even though you're a volunteer that I taught you everything you know within the last year, you've only been doing it a year, but because of your on-air performance, he thinks you're amazing and a perfect foil for me, and that you are the greatest thing that's ever happened. And he also said, you're the 7th holiest person that he knows. He said that was his favorite segment of ours that we've ever done.
It was a pretty good one.
Which makes me angry because this isn't our show, it's my show.
Wow. Okay.
And this is why I'm salty about this. Because you said, when I said you were the 7th best producer, you fought against me for an entire segment. Whenever he said that you're the 7th holiest person he knows, you said, wow, what a compliment, LOL. That was a pretty good show, man. We've been getting a lot of compliments recently. And by we, you mean you, because all these people are doing on my Twitter account is telling me how awesome you are. So
you're laughing, so you must be okay with it. You're not really upset.
I'm about to punch a wall. Good thing these walls have carpet on them to stop the sound because it won't hurt as much. And then you were like, well, you only do it because it bothers me.
Right.
That was amazing. And then it continued throughout the rest of the weekend. And it said that, okay, so Father Anthony's the one tweeting this, right? Behind Clerically Speaking. And then Jonathan Blevins, who we had on the show on episode what, Sam?
72.
It was like 2 weeks ago.
It was about 97.
I think it was 96 or 97. Just go to fortecatholic.com/radio and you'll find it. Unless Adam has already found it. Adam has not already found it. He's
you
already
can listen to all of them like Adam did.
Yeah. Okay. So, Bearded Blevins, Jonathan Blevins, who was on the show, the most downloaded show in Forte Catholic history, he replied to their tweet about Summa Theologica saying that they like your sound effects with, like the over sign, is like greater than, like 7 is greater than 3.
Yes.
He wrote Sam over and then it was blank. That's like literally everything. He said Sam over everything. So now you have like 2 of the most popular Catholics on Catholic Twitter complimenting you and just throwing me under the bus. It's fantastic.
I didn't know what that one sounded like.
All right.
I thought it was going to be a little more upbeat.
So the final one is pretty funny, actually. So not that the other ones haven't been, but whatever. So another thing that happened, many people who have listened to the show for a while or know me personally know that my life is very confusing because I have a Sam for a sister, a Sam for a wife, and a Sam for a producer, and they're all 3 different people, I promise. So the Clerically Speaking podcast tweeted out that essentially we got in an argument while we were playing Fortnite because Father Anthony plays at his brother's house, who is the producer, Papa Sharapa, of the podcast. And so he finally got on and he retweeted a tweet by my wife, Samantha Schroll, who said, my husband, Taylor Schroll, said I needed to do a tweet because apparently it's been 3 years. So my name is Samantha, and then there's a GIF of Will Ferrell and Anchorman saying, I'm kind of a big deal, which this is why I love this woman so much. Hey, honey, she's probably listening right now or taking care of my kids because I'm not home. He retweeted that tweet saying, podcast second best producer after Papa Sharapa, about my wife. The thing is he doesn't realize that my wife and my producer are different people. So I said, this is my wife. This is not my producer. And then he sent a GIF of him jumping through a door. So Sam, that is the impact that you have made on Catholic Twitter.
That's what I live for, making people jump through doors.
You're the best. All right, we will be right back for our interview of the crossover episode with the Roman Circus podcast. Hey, I just wanted to stop and take a moment to tell you to go visit the website for all your Forte Catholic needs, FORTE Catholic.com. You can find old podcast episodes. You can find info on my music, on my speaking. You can find booking information. If you want me to come out to your parish or diocesan event or school, I would love to. Go check it out, FORTE Catholic.com, and enjoy the rest of the show. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. In the first segment, we're talking about firsts in Catholic radio show history. We have another first for you here in the second segment of today's show. Sam, we are just making history this week and having a blast. So, how we are making history in this segment is there are 2 men from the Roman Circus podcast. Their names are Matt Baker and Zac Mabry. And for the first time in Catholic radio or podcast history, they are guests together on a show, making their debuts together as the Roman Circus podcast. Matt and Zac, how you doing this evening, my friends?
Oh, it's a wonderful evening there, Taylor. I'd just like to say hello to College Station, Texas, Waco, Texas, Tulsa, Oklahoma, North Carolina, and podcasts everywhere. That's who I want to say hello to.
That's fantastic. What about you, Zac?
Well, Matt covered all the cities, and so I want to say hi to the internet and hi to SoundCloud.
You do realize that SoundCloud is on the internet, right? This is a thing that you're aware of?
Yeah.
Wait, isn't the SoundClouds the things you pass through to get to the internet? I thought that was the buffer to the internet.
That is incorrect.
Yeah, please explain.
It gets very confusing that every time that my mom sees a cloud, she thinks that's where all of her photos are stored, and that's really not the case anymore. Like, there was one time that I saw a cloud that looked like a dragon, and I thought that was the picture of the dragon that I uploaded. I thought I had that special secret power, but I did not. So y'all are making your debut together. You've been on other shows one at a time. Zac, you've even came on the show on this show before, but now we've got the both of you from the Roman Circus podcast. Tell the people in 23 seconds what the Roman Circus podcast is all about.
Welcome to the Roman Circus podcast, a weekly dive into death-defying discussions of Catholic culture, tradition, and history. I'm Matt Baker, and with me is a man who is joining me on a podcast for the first time together, Zac Mabry. Zac, is that an ample way to describe our podcast?
Yes. So Matt does our opening credits, and he just knocks it out of the park every time, and that was it right there. So no better way to summarize it. I wrote them.
You wrote them, he performs them. Y'all are just such a dynamic duo together.
Yeah, that and I had done podcasting a little bit before, and Zac hadn't. So when we did our first episode, I just said, just step aside and let the master handle this thing. Yeah, and that's just kind of how it went.
Zac had never been on a podcast before, but he had been on the large screen. I believe they call it silver, if that's correct. I've never understood that. I'm sure it's just a thing from back in olden times that I don't care about anymore. But Zac, as we talked about in the last time that he was on the Forte Catholic podcast, played a small role in a little film. Zac, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I was caught on camera shoplifting from a Quick Trip. No, I'm just kidding. When I was a small child of the age of 3 and then 4 years old, I portrayed Porky in the remake of The Little Rascals in 1994.
Here's one thing that's interesting. Even the last time that you came on the show, I never realized until I started talking to people about the episode that you came on. I never even realized, that was episode 89, by the way, Sam. We talked about that later. I never even realized that The Little Rascals was a remake. Right after I recorded the episode, I went to go hang out at like a family reunion, and I kept asking them like, oh, did you watch The Little Rascals when you were a kid? And all the old people are like, have you ever seen Little Rascals? And they were like, oh yeah, I watched that when I was a kid. And I was like, you're 68 years old. Like, I don't understand. I'm very confused. And then I found out that it was a remake. And so I just learned something new every day, primarily because of Zac Mabry. We talk all about that in episode 89. You mentioned...
What was it?
Oh, go ahead.
What was it called? Like Our Gang or something, Zac? What... Do you know what was that?
Yeah,
what it was called?
It also had the title. I don't actually really know. I think Our Gang was the name of the series, and like Little Rascals was a subtitle. I'm not really sure, but we were Little Rascals.
That's right, and this is Our Gang, Zac.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's just great. We love talking about gangs on Catholic radio. So It's just a beautiful thing for us to do. So you mentioned y'all's intro, how y'all kind of tag teamed it. And y'all are hilarious on Twitter. You're one of my favorite people to follow on Twitter. Go ahead and give a little plug for your Twitter handle there.
We are at Roman Circus Pod. Is that what it is, Zac? I'm now losing complete confidence. Yeah, at Roman Circus Pod. I'm at Hey, it's Matt Baker. I'm so used to saying Zac, so I'll say it too. He's at Zac Mabry, ZAC Mabry. Zac, tell him about our big new Twitter business we got going on with the news. News ad.
Okay, so we recognize that people like to stay up with news and what's going on, but maybe not all the time. And so we started the other Twitter account, which is at Roman Circus News, where we tweet and retweet kind of news stories and stuff because, I keep up with what's going on or people will send me stories. But we wanted it to be separate from everything else just because sometimes you just got to tune out current events, since, current events at the end of the day don't help you grow spiritually. And sometimes it's just like too much news. So we have that Twitter, too, where I try to keep that up to date with news and events in the church.
So here's what I'm going to do. I absolutely support what y'all are doing. I love following y'all on Twitter. I've enjoyed the podcast. I don't like news, but I like you guys so much that what I'm going to do is I literally just followed Roman Circus News on Twitter, And I also just muted you guys because I don't want the news, but I want to support you guys. Is that fair?
Oh, no, I think it's completely fair. I tell people all the time, you don't even have to listen to our podcast. If you just download it, that counts as a listen. So if you just follow our Twitter account, that counts as a follower. You don't even have to interact with us.
Exactly. I know how this works.
At the end of the day, the numbers are important, not whether anyone actually understands or gets what you're saying. It's the numbers, Taylor.
The numbers. Okay. So we've gotten into two big discussions on Catholic Twitter, which we actually discussed in the last segment, trying to explain it because no one knows what it is, even the people that are in it. So there are two things that myself, at Taylor Schroll, and the Roman Circus podcast Twitter handle have gotten into. One of them was in regards to, it was this week as we were promoting this episode that people are currently listening to. And we were talking about the intro and how I have the best intro in Catholic podcast land. I'm like, I say that in all humility. I'm definitely the best. Now, I may not be the best show. I wasn't even put in the recent polls for best show. Y'all were. Congratulations on your second place finish.
Thank you.
Yeah, y'all.
That's what we do best.
Y'all are amazing. So in a minute, we're going to talk about how I am jealous of people who have shows that are more popular than mine because they're more popular on social media. It makes me both not like myself or either of you. But first, I want to do something very nice for you. Are you ready for this?
Oh, thank you. Yes, of course.
Okay. So coming from the man who has the best intro in Catholic podcast land, I want to help with yours a little bit because y'all even mentioned me. You took my name in vain, as I like to say. It wasn't too bad, but y'all were talking about me for the second thing that happened on Twitter that we're going to talk about on episode 25 of your show called Why Be Catholic in 2018. I would highly recommend people go listen to that episode. It is where I started and where I got hooked. But y'all mentioned me. You even complimented the intro. You were like, you're never going to be able to match my energy. And I just think that that's a lie from the devil. I know that you can do it. So here's what we're going to do. I have your intro music queued up. What I want you to do is do all the words that Zac wrote for your intro. Matt, we're going to start with you because you're the one that's been doing it. I want you to do the intro exactly the same words, but with all the Forte Catholic passion. Are you ready for this?
Well, I already do it with all the passion I can.
No, you have so much more. You have so much more. Here's what you do. Sit up straight, take a large breath, which is what I do at the beginning of every show before I yell what's up. And just yell it. Just yell it. Okay, no more prep. Matt, are you ready to do this, young man?
I'm ready, and thank you for calling me a young man.
You are so young and beautiful. Here we go.
Thanks for listening to the Roman Circus podcast, a weekly dive into death-defying discussions of Catholic culture, tradition, and history. I'm Matt Baker, and with me, as always, is a man who is about to yell just like I am, Zac Mabry. Zac, how are you today?
I'm good!
You guys,
oh man,
you guys rock. That was awesome. That was so cool. I wish I was cool.
I like how you just screamed, "I'm good."
I'm good. So here's what we were going to do. What we were going to do was I was going to have Matt try it. I was going to have Zac try it. And then if you needed a little bit of help, I was going to do it myself. But y'all knocked it out of the park. We're done. We're done with that section. Y'all killed it. That's how you have to do the intro next time.
Zac, we got an A+.
We did it.
A minus. I'd give you an A minus. To get the plus, you just got to do it
second place.
Second place. Another second place finish for the Roman Circus podcast here on the Forte Catholic Show. So y'all did great. How did that feel? How did that feel for you guys?
I have to take a nap, and I have to eat some food. I'm pretty exhausted.
Zac, how did you?
It felt good.
Oh, man. I thought it was a blast. Okay, here's the second thing that we have to talk about that we got into on the old Catholic Twitter sphere. Y'all sent out a tweet that essentially said y'all were going to be the number one Catholic podcast sometime soon, and everyone else was going to be steamrolled. Now, before we get into what happened next, I just want to hear the heart behind that tweet. What were you thinking? What were you feeling when you sent that tweet?
I mean, we were thinking exactly what it says. We're going to be the number one podcast, and everybody else is going to get steamrolled. But I thought it was pretty clear in my intentions there, Taylor.
It was pretty clear. I just wanted to give you a chance to defend yourself before I annihilate you. That's all I really want to do here.
Wait, Zach, do you have anything to say on this matter? Could you back me up for a second?
Yeah, we just wanted to touch the most hearts.
Yes.
You know?
So here we go. We've got Jekyll and Hyde over here. We've got one person saying, I want to destroy everybody. And you were like, I just want to touch the most people with touch the most people's hearts with the great news of the beauty of the Catholic Church. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Steamrolling those hearts.
Steamrolling the hearts. So I responded in kind saying, well, I thought, first of all, this was right after Zach came on my show, and I was like, what the heck, man? Like, I thought we were friends, and here you are. You literally just came on my podcast, and now you're like, well, I want to beat you up and make sure your show is not listened to. So I felt very hurt in my heart. My heart was steamrolled a little bit, and I just wanted to let you guys know that. No, I'm kidding. Y'all ran a poll, though. To my response, do you recall what that poll was about?
Yeah, the Schroll poll, right?
It was a Schroll poll, yes. So you polled all of the great followers and listeners of the Roman Circus podcast. What kind of question did you ask them?
Was it that whether or not you should you jump on board or you get caught under the steamroller, something along those lines? Exactly.
I remember every word verbatim because it broke my heart. But y'all put out this poll. It was hilarious, man. You're like, okay, is Taylor Schroll A? And then the first choice was a candidate to be steamrolled, and the second choice was like a friend to work with or something, or like take over the world with or something like that. And it was like 80% to 20% that your people wanted to steamroll me. But to y'all's defense, you take your polls with a little bit of grain of salt. So I just want to ask you both, I would say to your face, but I can't see you, thank the Lord, that how do you feel now? Are we going to be friends? Are you still going to try to steamroll me? Like, I feel like we've made a big breakthrough with your intro. I'm just trying to help. How do you feel?
Zach, what do you think?
Way to put me on the spot. Well, no, just kidding. Well, even before the intro exercise, we were big fans, of course. But after that, I feel like we've really bonded. You know, like pretty permanently.
We really have.
The thing is, we're those guys that like say a bunch of stuff and then we just never back it up. What do you call those? Verbose? Is that how you describe those type of people? Braggadocious? I don't know the words.
Verbose.
Yeah.
Hollaback boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a great segue into the last thing I have to say about your show. I think it was the first or second show I ever listened to was y'all's show with Dadanista. I was like, oh, at Dadanista. I follow him on Twitter. He's funny. And he came on the show, and as we know from the last interview with Zach, that you work with numbers. Like, that is your job now. And y'all had a conversation with him about the economy, and I realized that I was not smart enough to keep up. I literally tried, and it was just like, I'm literally don't have the brain power to keep up with this episode, so I went to the other ones and really enjoyed those, because I think it's that you use words like verbose. I don't think I've ever heard that word before, so y'all are trying to make me smarter, or y'all are just so elite and so above me that I'll just never be able to touch you.
Taylor, if you thought it was tough listening, you should have tried being the host of that episode. It was not only was it as difficult, it was, oh no, what do I say? I just kind of ended up going like, yeah, usury, that's bad, man. It's like, it's totally.
It makes
totally
me feel
bad.
so much better that you struggled with that. Y'all just were so cool, calm, and collected. I thought you had it all together.
It's crazy because some money is paper and then some money is metal.
Yeah. Oh. They all say it. They all say it's worth the same, but maybe that's just them spreading lies. And usury, is that spelled with for other people? Is that spelled with a U or a Y-O-U? Is that? I just want other people to know how to spell it because I definitely know how to spell it.
Well, I really appreciate y'all coming on. I really do think that we have bonded over this. Just the fact that y'all just shared that story about that podcast absolutely makes my day. Y'all rock. How do people find you both on the podcast? We already mentioned the Twitter. How can they listen to the show?
You can find us on iTunes. You can search Roman Circus Podcast. We're there. Leave a review if you want. We're also basically where you can find any podcast. We're on Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, but any of the apps that share the podcasts, you'll be able to find us.
All right, guys, we got to go. Thanks so much for coming on. I'll talk to y'all on the Twitter sphere.
Thanks, Taylor. Thanks, Sam.
Taylor. See ya.
All right, so that was just a phenomenal interview with our friends over at the Roman Circus Podcast. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed talking with them. Go give them a 4-star review on iTunes and go on and give me a 5-star review. It is just and right. We will be right back for our final segment of the day. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. It's a great day today. It's your host, Taylor Schroll. If you don't know, Forte means loud. I am very loud. It also means something that you're good at. I think that talking to myself in a room with just 2 people is something that I'm fairly good at. I'm just glad that we're recording it so that other people can listen. Otherwise, this would literally be insane. 4 people sitting in a room while one of them talks for a very, very long time. The other 2 are allowed to speak for a couple minutes here and there, and one literally just sits in the corner. That's currently what is going on right now. Okay. Roman Circus Podcast. Those guys are crazy. A lot of fun. I want to thank them again for coming on the show today. Sam, you know what we forgot to do in the first episode?
What?
That was weird. You gave me homework.
Oh,
last
yeah.
week.
I forgot.
I know you did because you didn't call me out on it. Do you remember what the homework was?
It was to do like how much time you spend doing different things, right?
Yeah, exactly. Adam Brill, who is in the studio today, Forte Catholic super fan. I almost said studio and super, and it almost came out stupid. Forte Catholic super fan Adam Brill is here today. He is nodding his head that he remembers the challenge. Mm-hmm. Sam, here's the deal. Mm-hmm. You see, we got the challenge on Tuesday, and I was actually very highly aware of everything that I did Wednesday and Thursday, and I had it all memorized. And I was like, I'm going to write it down.
Okay.
And then I got very busy at work.
Okay.
And then it was a long weekend where, let's just say my percentage of video game playing skyrocketed.
Okay.
And my hours of doing anything productive or wholly plummeted.
I see.
Until I was saved by Sunday Mass and some prayer time after that. And then by Monday and today, I had given up because I had already forgotten to write anything down. So essentially, like Taylor Schroll in most school, I didn't do my homework. How do you respond? I really thought there was going to be a sound effect there, but instead you're just brooding. Mom.
No, I mean, you could choose to do with your time with whatever you want to do.
I definitely know the next words out of your mouth. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
No, I was going to say you're an adult. You do you.
Adult.
But I did do mine.
Somebody's going to get that joke. That was a really good joke that I just got out of saying. That was awesome. Adam, did you pick that up? No, he didn't. Somebody caught it. Probably JP Quinn, who's listening right now. He caught it. Some of the rest of you are doing that thing on the podcast where you're like scrolling back 30 seconds to find that beautiful gem of a joke that I just dropped for the smart people that are able to find it. You're welcome.
Like I said.
You did, yeah, I didn't do my homework. So, because here's the deal. So last week we were talking about this huge revelation that I had in regards to amount of times that we spend doing things. And essentially, if you pray 30 minutes a day and go to mass for an hour on Sunday, you're giving God 2.38% of your week. If you don't do any of the prayer, you just go to mass on Sunday, you're doing half of 1% of your week you're giving to God. Let's just say that I was safely in between those two numbers this week. Okay? Very safely in between those two. I went to mass. Here's the deal. I've been working at the campus ministry at St. Joseph's, so thank the Lord Jesus, little tiny baby Jesus, that it is built into my schedule and a requirement for my job that I set up for, go to, and often play music at 3 daily masses a week. So I went to mass Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. So I got probably about up to 1.76%. We're just going to go with that number. Another thing that I wanted to do that was also part of my homework was to work on that working out number. Sam and Adam, I'm going to let you guess. The amount that we're trying to hit here is that 2.38%, right? Mm-hmm. No, let's go with 2. You get a day off, 30 minutes every other day. It's right around 2%. What percent of my week do you think that I gave to taking care of my body and because I am just a beautiful temple of the Holy Spirit? Some would say cathedral because of my size, but I am a temple of the Holy Spirit.
0%.
What do you think, Adam?
Well, she stole mine, so...
You can say 0 too.
Well, so we're saying working out? That's what...
Working out. What percentage of my week did I give to working out?
Not sitting around and letting your body rest counts as letting your body, the temple...
No. Just working out.
Oh, yeah. 1%.
1%?
Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of
go ahead and give Adam his first ever wrong on the sound effect board over there, Miss Shepherd. If it takes you too long, there you go. Okay. I was gonna say you almost lost your job to Father Anthony's brother as the best producer in Catholic radio. Do you want to lose your job? Is that what you're saying with those sound effects?
I think she was saying she was right. It's 0.
Yeah. Oh, you just wanted to get the right button because you're never right on the show and you finally were right?
I never win anything on this show.
See, you say that, and then your track record over the last couple of weeks has just been phenomenal. You've won lots of things. Like that time that I was convinced that it was Abominable Snowman? Indomitable Snowman?
Good job, Adam.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I listen to every podcast.
Almost fell.
What was my 68th word on the 48th podcast?
Hello.
Yeah, it's actually right. I was saying, hello, darkness, my old friend. Okay, so
yes.
Radio is hard. If you haven't noticed already, for instance, we were supposed to start recording at 5:30 today. We started at 6:05 on a day that producer Sam said, we need to get out of here quickly. So
that's true.
We usually start around 5:30, 5:40. It was 6:05 today. Hi, Sarah Lessman's here. Come here, Sarah Lessman. Come here, Sarah Lessman. Sarah, come take this microphone right here.
Recording.
Close the door. Close the door. Pick up that microphone right there. Kneel down. We can raise this up for her. We can raise it up for her. Okay, Sarah, I just have one thing to talk to you about on this week's podcast. See, there was this moment that you and I...
You have to get way closer to the microphone.
Thank you, producer Sam. There was this moment that you and I had where you were mad that I hadn't talked to you on the radio yet. Or haven't given you a shout out. You asked me for a shout out, right? And then we're sitting at it was a bar. We were sitting at a bar, and you told all of our friends and people that I had never met. What did you say to them?
That you didn't give me a shout out.
That I didn't give you a shout out. And then I got very angry. I pulled out my phone. I pulled out the podcast episode where literally the last thing I said was shout out to Sarah Lessman for no reason. See ya! Like I always do. And
I'm sorry, Taylor.
Thank you. That's all I wanted was a public apology on Forte Catholic Radio. Can we give her a round of applause, Sam? Can we go ahead and give her a round of applause as she walks out of the door because she desperately wants to leave and doesn't want to be here?
I can't find the applause button. Oh, there it is.
Oh, there you go. Well, that was fun. You see, sometimes you need a little bit of content in radio. Radio is hard when you're looking out a window and people are waving at you. This is weird because earlier in the show, I was talking about this very large window. It's not the large window. That's on the second floor. It'd be really weird if she showed up at that one. But there's a little window in the door here, and she waved at me, and then I made her come in, and she didn't like that. So,
and
anyway,
talked really far away from the microphone.
She did. She was very nervous. That was Sarah Lesman's radio debut. That makes me so happy that's what it was. Sam just snorted. That also makes me happy. Okay, speaking of noises, Sam, you have accidentally done great segues for today's show. I'm very proud of you.
No.
Yeah, let's hug. I'm just kidding. You're very far away. There's multiple desks in between us. We're very far from each other. Okay.
We're not that far.
Well, you see, like, we can touch hands. Hello.
I can hug you.
You can't hug me.
I can hug you.
No, you can't.
I feel it in my... I'm reaching.
No,
I'm reaching.
Stop. This is terrible
I got
radio.
you. I got you.
That's not
That was a hug, ladies and gentlemen.
You just patted my shoulder from across the table.
I could reach you.
That was very
It happened.
Virtus and EIM appropriate.
It was a youth ministry side hug.
Youth ministry side hug. I can't talk today. Okay.
I did that and brought my microphone with me. Impressive.
Literally everyone heard that because all we heard was just like noises, metal banging against each other. Okay, can I talk about what I wanted to talk about?
Yes.
Can I have your permission, producer Sam?
Si, senor.
Okay, radio is hard, as you can tell from the last 3 minutes. There's constant distractions. Often there's glitches in connections when we're talking to our guests over Skype or over the phone. There's often times where people, including myself, and especially including producer Sam, trip over words. We say and we say all that kind of stuff. And so here's the deal. I wanted to give all of my Patreon listeners, all my Patreon supporters, a special glimpse into the behind the scenes. But because it involves my friend Sean McAfee, he said, Taylor, I really want people to hear this blooper. He said he literally almost died laughing. So he said, why don't you just make it free content on your Patreon? If you don't know what Patreon is, patreon.com/Forte Catholic. It's a way that you can support the show. You send a few little dollars my way. You get tons of hours and hours and hours of bonus content, behind the scenes content, interviews that aren't on the regular podcast, outtakes with me and Sam, outtakes with our amazing guests, just stuff that doesn't go on the radio. It's a blast. Head on over, patreon.com/Forte Catholic. If you truly love me and Jesus and want a plenary indulgence that I said that you can get, go support me at patreon.com.
You cannot get that.
You don't even know what a plenary indulgence is, Sam.
Okay.
She knows I'm right. I know that face. No, you don't. Okay. So we often have bloopers. We often have some crazy stuff that goes on. Sam often talks in weird voices and does strange accents. But I wanted to just give you just a glimpse into the type of stuff that you get on Patreon, how editing is hard. So what I did in our interview with Sean McAfee, he makes lots of noises, just as Sam makes strange noises on the air all the time. So what I did is I took all of the things that I edited out, all of his ums, his butts, his a few of mine, a lot of his breathing. I took all of that out and I put them all down into one clip. You can hear the full clip at patreon.com/Forte Catholic, but we're just going to give you a little bit of snippet of it right now. Because this, and how did, or that like not the,
that'd be great.
When it Fortnite social stuff.
And my thesis for my master's degree was in, it covers diversity.
So that's what all of our little outbursts sound like if you put them all into one clip. That's the kind of, I've never done that before. I thought it was quite silly. So go check it out. There's also another clip of Sean. He foiled me quite a bit. When we started the interview, the first time all he did was whisper. And then the second time all he did was yell. It's hilarious. It's all there. Go check it out. Those two clips are free, but while you're there, check out the rest of it. Sam, I'm going on a trip this weekend. Did you know I was going on a trip?
Nope.
I am going to North Carolina. Come on and raise up. I'm not going to finish the rest of the lyrics of that song. Heading to North Carolina for this thing called a Eucharistic Congress. And here's what I want you to do, because I had no idea what a Eucharistic Congress was. Why don't you tell me what you think a Eucharistic Congress is?
Something about the Eucharist and you hang out with Jesus.
That's pretty close. It's a very large conference. There's going to be over 25,000 people here. And it's obviously there's going to be a lot about the Eucharist. It's a large Eucharistic procession throughout the city. I'm flying there because one of the radio shows that I am on, Cairo Radio in North Carolina, they got a booth at this table. I am going to promote for the Forte Catholic show, going to promote Ablaze, which is where we all work. And I'm very much looking forward to that. Sam, because I'm just so on top of my game, I found out about this trip about 2.5 weeks ago. When do you think I bought the plane tickets for this trip and the hotel room?
Yesterday.
Absolutely. Did I tell you that?
No, I just was guessing.
You're just very, very bright. So I bought the tickets yesterday. It's all going to happen, and it's going to be a blast. So if you are a Cairo Radio fan and you like the show, come on out and meet me in person. Sam, next week we have something very, very special. Very, very, very special. The 100th episode of the Forte Catholic Podcast is coming to all earbuds in 7 days. We've got a great lineup for you. Mr. Christopher Bartlett's coming back on the show. Everybody's favorite character from the show, Rocco, is going to be making another appearance. If you haven't heard of Rocco yet, you are in for a treat next week. Our good friend Allison Sullivan, who is here in town, podcaster at Sinner Saint Sister, is coming back on the show as well. Can I say everyone's favorite priest? Father Anthony is listening to this. One of everyone's favorite two priests, Father Jared Cook, is coming back onto the show, making his glorious return. Lance Rosen of the Coaster podcast, Father Anthony Sharapa, also one of the two favorite priests of everyone we know. Alex Gote is returning. JP Quinn is returning. And there's also going to be a very, very special guest making her Forte Catholic debut. Not going to tell you who it is. You'll have to tune in next week. Somebody very, very special and important is coming on the show next week as well. 9 guests all lined up for the show next week. Sam, are you excited? I am deathly excited. Is that an expression?
I don't know if I've ever heard it before, but I guess you could be.
Okay, now answer the question. Are you excited for episode 100 with all these people?
So excited.
I am definitely excited. I can just feel your excitement in your voice. All right. So we are closing up today's show. Thank you so much for listening. I want to remind you that another way that you can support the show and also get a little deal yourself is to go to CatholicBalm, BALM.co/Forte. On your next beard balm purchase, you get 11% off your next purchase. That the proceeds of all that go to support Forte Catholic and youth ministry across the nation. Head on over to that. Find all things Forte Catholic, FORTE Catholic.com. We'll be back next week for number 100. Say it!